Hey everyone, welcome back to Mighty Habits. I'm Steven,
And I'm Mary.
and we're so glad you could join us for today's deep dive.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, we're really excited to be tackling this topic. We're going to be exploring the idea of love languages.
Fascinating stuff.
It is. Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, who hasn't, right?
Yeah, they're kind of everywhere these days, but we're going to be going a bit deeper today.
Beyond the buzzwords.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So, love languages, they come from this book, The Five Love Languages. The Secret to Love That Lasts by Gary Chapman. And it might sound all lovey-dovey, but trust me, this goes way beyond just romantic relationships.
Oh, absolutely. This is
There-
about understanding how we connect with all sorts of people.
Yeah, like friends, family, colleagues, even, your barista.
I mean, not the barista.
Okay, maybe not the barista,
Yeah.
but you get the idea. It's really about how we show and receive love and appreciation in all kinds of close connections.
Right, because we all have different ways of feeling loved. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where these five love languages come in. They each represent a different way of expressing and experiencing love. And the key here is to understand both your own love language and the languages of the people you care about.
So you're speaking the same language, so to speak.
Okay, so let's break these down, shall we?
Let's do it.
First up, we have words of affirmation. Now, this isn't just about, showering people with compliments 24/7.
No, it's deeper than that. It's about genuine expressions of affection and appreciation. Like, think heartfelt compliments, words of encouragement, maybe even a handwritten note.
Oh, yeah, a nice handwritten note, that's always a winner.
Right. It's about making someone feel seen and valued through your words.
Okay, next on the list is acts of service. So this is where I can argue that doing the dishes is my love language, right?
Could be,
No?
if that's what your partner appreciates.
Okay, fair enough. So acts of service, it's all about, well, actions. Showing love through helpful gestures.
Exactly. Things like doing chores, running errands, or just offering a helping hand. It's taking something off their plate, making their life a little bit easier.
And I imagine even small acts can be super meaningful if that's someone's primary love language.
Absolutely. It's the thought and effort that counts. It shows you're paying attention to their needs.
Okay, moving right along, we've got receiving gifts. Now, I'm sure some people might think, oh, this is just about materialistic desires. But I think there's more to it than that.
Totally. It's not about the price tag. It's about the thoughtfulness behind the gift.
Like if you see something and you're like, oh, they would love this.
Exactly. It's about finding something that truly reflects your understanding of them, something that speaks to their interests, their passions.
So it's more about the symbolism, the effort behind the gesture.
You got it.
All right, next up we have quality time. Seems pretty self-explanatory, spending time together. But I bet there's a nuance here too.
There always is. It's not just about being in the same room. It's about giving someone your undivided attention, putting away the phone, turning off the TV, and truly being present with them.
Ooh, that's a tough one these days.
Oh.
It's so easy to get distracted.
It is. But for someone whose love language is quality time, those moments of genuine connection, they're priceless.
Okay, last but not least, we have physical touch. I feel like this one can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it can be, especially with different cultural norms and personal boundaries.
Right.
But at its heart, it's about expressing affection through physical contact. It could be hugs, holding hands, a touch on the arm. It's about conveying warmth and closeness.
And I guess open communication is super important here, right?
Oh, absolutely. Understanding and respecting each other's boundaries is key. Any form of physical touch should always be consensual and respectful.
So we've got these five love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And everyone has a primary love language, the one that speaks to them the loudest.
Exactly. And we often express love in the way we ourselves prefer to receive it. That's where things can get interesting.
Yeah, I can see how that could lead to some miscommunication.
Like you might be showing love in a way that totally misses the mark because you're not speaking the same language.
So how do we avoid that? Do we need to become fluent in all five?
Well, you don't need to be a polyglot of love, but awareness is key. Once you understand your own love language and the languages of the people you care about, you can start expressing your love in a way that truly resonates with them.
So it's like learning a few key phrases. You don't have to be fluent, but you need to know enough to get your point across.
I like that analogy.
This is all really making me think. It's like you're giving us a secret code to understanding people better.
I like to think of it as a superpower.
A superpower of love. I like it. Okay, so now that we've got the basics down, where do we go from here?
Well, I think the next step is to start applying this knowledge in our own lives. And that's what we'll be diving into after the break. So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
All right. So we've talked about these 5 love languages, right?
We have.
Now, how do we actually use this stuff? How do we make it work in our relationships?
Right, because it's one thing to know the theory, but putting it into practice, that's the real challenge.
Exactly. So let's say you've figured out your partner's love language is, I don't know, quality time,
Okay.
but you're busy. You got work, you got kids, you got stuff to do.
Life gets in the way.
Right. So does that mean you gotta, like, clear your entire schedule just to make them happy?
Yeah, that's not really sustainable.
No, it's not about drastic changes. It's about being intentional with the time you do have. Like, maybe instead of scrolling through your phone while you're having dinner, you put it away and actually talk to each other.
So being present in those moments, even if they're short.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity, making those moments count.
Okay, that makes sense. And this whole love languages thing, it's not just for romantic relationships, right?
Oh, absolutely not. It applies to friendships, family relationships,
Mhm.
even work relationships.
So like how would this play out with a friend, for example?
Okay, let's say your best friend's love language is acts of service.
All right.
Maybe they're always the one planning everything, organizing everything.
Yeah, the planner friend. We all have one.
Right. So showing them love might look like offering to help out, take some of that burden off their shoulders.
Oh, that's a good one. Like just offering to like pick up the snacks for the next movie night or something.
Exactly. Little things like that. It shows you care. You're paying attention.
Okay, so we've got romantic relationships, friendships. What about family? Like parents, siblings?
Same idea. Think about what makes them feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your mom loves getting little gifts, even if it's just a bouquet of flowers from the grocery store.
Yeah. Or maybe your brother, he just wants you to listen to him rant about his favorite video game.
Exactly. It's about tailoring your expressions of love to their specific language.
This is so cool. It's like a whole new way of looking at relationships.
It is, isn't it? And understanding love languages can even be helpful when you're dealing with conflict.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. When you're arguing with someone, things can get heated, right?
Oh, yeah?
But if you can take a step back and realize, hey, maybe I'm not communicating my frustration in a way they understand,
Okay, yeah.
it can really help de-escalate the situation.
So, like, if my partner's love language is physical touch, and I'm giving them the silent treatment during an argument, it's probably not going to go over well.
Probably not, because to them, that feels like rejection.
Yeah.
But if you can recognize that and, maybe reach out, hold their hand, even if you're still upset, it can create a sense of connection that allows you to work through the issue more constructively.
That's so interesting. It's like you're speaking a language they understand, even when you're disagreeing.
Exactly. It's about meeting them where they're at.
This is making me wonder, can our love languages change over time?
That's a great question. While our core tendencies might stay pretty consistent, our love languages can definitely evolve.
Like, based on our experiences?
Exactly. Think about it. If you've been in a relationship where, your need for words of affirmation wasn't met, you might find that over time, acts of service become more important to you.
Interesting. So it's like our needs can shift depending on what we've been through.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to check in with each other, in any kind of relationship. See if anything's changed. Be open to adapting.
So communication is key.
Always.
Always. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but let's be real. Putting this into practice, it can be a bit tricky. Any advice for our listeners on how to actually start using love languages in their daily lives?
Well, I think the first step is self-awareness. Take some time to figure out your own love language. What makes you feel loved? What makes you feel appreciated?
Okay, so introspection first.
Exactly. And then once you have a good handle on that, start paying attention to how the people around you are expressing love. Are they giving you compliments? Are they doing things for you? Are they giving you gifts?
It's like becoming a love language detective.
I love that. Yeah, look for the clues. And then once you start recognizing those patterns, try to reciprocate in a way that resonates with them. So if your partner is always leaving you little notes, maybe tell them how much you appreciate those little gestures.
Ah, so it's not just about recognizing their love language. It's about acknowledging and appreciating their effort.
Exactly. And vice versa. If you know their love language is acts of service, maybe take the initiative to do a chore they hate or surprise them by cooking dinner.
So it's like a dance, right? You got to pay attention to your partner's steps and move in sync with them.
Beautiful analogy. And remember, it's not about being perfect. You don't have to master every love language. It's about making an effort.
Showing that you care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being willing to learn and grow together.
It's like you suddenly get this new perspective on people. Like that friend who is always giving you compliments. Maybe their love language is words of affirmation.
Yeah, or that family member who's constantly doing things for you. Maybe acts of service is how they show love.
It's like you're seeing them in a whole new light.
And, it's not just about romantic relationships either, right? It's about all the connections in your life. Friends, family, colleagues, even your neighbors.
Yeah, it makes you realize how differently everyone experiences and expresses love.
Exactly. And once you start to understand that, it can really change the way you interact with people.
So for our listeners who are like ready to start incorporating this into their lives, what would you say to them? Where do they even begin?
Well, I think the most important thing is self-awareness. Take some time to think about what makes you feel loved. What are those things that really resonate with you?
So start with yourself.
Exactly. And then, start paying attention to the people around you. How are they expressing love? What are their actions saying?
It's like becoming a love language detective.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, it's not about trying to change anyone or force them to fit into a certain mold. It's about appreciating the different ways we all experience love.
It's about celebrating those differences and using that knowledge to build stronger connections.
You got it. And remember, this is a journey. It's not something you learn overnight. Be patient with yourself and be open to learning and growing.
This has been such a fascinating conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights with us.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of love languages. We hope this has given you some food for thought and maybe even inspired you to try something new in your relationships.
And if you're looking for more on this topic, the book we mentioned earlier, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, it's a great place to start.
Definitely. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Mighty Habits for more deep dives like this one. We're always exploring new ideas and strategies to help you live a more fulfilling life.
So until next time, keep those habits mighty.
Easy.